Hello everyone and welcome back to the Commander's Experience. Today we are gonna round up our talks about Graveyard and we're gonna do it with something new on the channel at least, making a tier list of a lot of the commanders we have talked about.
Let's break it down. We're gonna do an old-fashioned tier list, and just a quick disclaimer, as we did in the early episodes, this is a tier list from a bracket 4 perspective, how they play at a bracket 4 table, and our personal opinions. So this is not us telling you to stop playing your commander, keep having fun with what you're doing, and this is just what we think, and take everything with a grain of salt, of course. So the way we have decided to rate these commanders is by a few criterias. So we're gonna look into when they are trying to win the game, how fast are they doing it? Do they need a lot of time? Are they explosive? Also their colors they're in, and generally the flexibility and impact they have on the game. And also maybe the most important one, the fun factor, how fun is it playing these decks? And that also factors in, of course. So, but let's get into the first one, Jacob. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so first up, oldie but a goodie. It's Meren of Clan Toth. It's a long time since I've played against this commander.
A friend of ours had it in the pod, and we played a little bit against it. I actually think that this commander may have been gotten stronger during the years. I think there's a lot more pieces going into the deck that can help it trying to win faster, and I do think that cards like Peregrine Took, Cauldron Familiar, and Worn Soul Trader, cards like that, are doing immense work when we're talking about win cons. So I actually think it's gotten a lot of tools and maybe have been forgotten a little bit because for many years it was just too slow, especially in bracket 4.
Yeah, could be. Like my thinking is, what does it do better than the other commanders? For me, it sounds a bit slow. Like my first thought when I heard the name, I was like, yeah, this is in the D category, just because it doesn't have the combo potential. It do have probably one of the best grind plans, but I think the colors hampers it a bit as well.
Yeah, I actually think it's a great tool, to be honest, because I think the deck I have in mind can win without Meren, but I do think that Meren offers some resilience because it's engine reanimation. You're not restricted to casting 1 or 2 reanimation spells and hope they are working and you don't get stopped. Meren will keep doing it. If you get stopped this turn, she will try again next turn. So, and the creatures she wins with are usually very low to the ground. You don't need a lot of experience counters in order to get her going. And there's also new cards like Peter Parker's Camera, and there's Roaming Throne that has since joined the game also that doubles her triggers. So yeah, like I said, I think she's gotten a lot more tools, and talking about her now with this tier list, I was actually just quite curious how my list would look. But let's rate it. Where do you rate this first commander?
Yeah, I already said a D, but I think it's a bit harsh because, as you said, Roaming Throne and Peter Parker's Camera kind of fixes some of the issue I had with it, because in the past I wanted to be blue so I could get an extra turn and do it again. So I still say it's slow for me, and I'll give it a C on my part.
Yeah, I think C is also where I rate it. I think it only being in Golgari colors hinders it a bit. I do think that playing non-blue in general when you're in a bracket 4 meta is a bit hard. I think it can be done, but not being in blue. I think if it was in the classic Sultai colors, I would have rated it a B, but that's not the case.
Yeah, it doesn't enable any crazy combos, so that's probably one of the things that takes it down for me. Yeah.
Next on the list is also an oldie but goodie. It is Syr Konrad, and this is, of course, a mono-black commander that doesn't even play value from the graveyard, but trying to win by putting cards into the graveyard and pinging down your opponents. So where do you rate this?
Kind of interesting. In a dream world, if it was Sultai, I will give it S. So for me, it's literally just the color that is holding it back. I would probably put it in the same place as Meren and say it's a C. I wish it was better, but the colors is hard.
Also think it's been power crept just a little bit. I'm not sure that Sheoldred is a better commander, but it is 1 less mana. I do think 5 is a bit much these days, and it being monocolored in black is just hard. It has all the right pieces for it to be working in mono black, but there's not a lot of protection, and yeah, it can just hit some real speed bumps. So for me, I think it plays worse than Meren. So for me, it's a D.
Yeah, I think I get a bit of I give it a bit no more love because it's good in the 99, I think, in some specific decks.
Yeah, I agree.
So next up on the list, we have one in the opposite end. It's brand new, and it's the Superior Spider-Man. And straight out the bat, also a crazy effect from the command zone, basically just reanimating something. It doesn't do that, but basically, I think it's first time we're seeing that. And in Dimir, so probably the best colors if you want 2-color combo. What do you think about it?
You're in clone colors, and I have to be honest, I haven't gone into real depths regarding how I would build this deck and how it's winning, but I can tell just by reading it that it's a very powerful ability.
Yeah, I would say straight up, if the fun factor wasn't a part of it, I would give it S tier if it was just pure power we're rating here. But for me, because it doesn't sound very fun, it just sounds, I don't know if too easy is the right way, but it does the thing very effectively and nothing fancy and fun for me. But we are still playing Bracket 4 where power is important, so I would say it's an A from me.
Yeah, I'm not quite that high on it, I think. It is in Dimir, yes, but I don't know. I'm always thinking that you want to be self-milling, and not that blue and black can't do that. I just really like green. There's also some creature tutoring when you have green.
I haven't really built the deck, but I'm just thinking that entombing something stupid early on and just playing your commander kind of just wins the game, or at least sets you up to win.
And this list is not final, meaning that at the very end we will have a look at the list and maybe rotate some of them depending on where we end up. So for now, I can agree to putting it in A. I'm leaning more towards B, to be honest, but let's see where it ends up.
Let's see.
Next up is one of my commanders. It is Coram the Undertaker. So it's a Gen commander, and it's a deck I recently built, and so far I've played 12 games, and I've had a lot of fun with it, to be honest. I haven't won a lot. I actually think I won precisely 25%, but it just plays so much fun. I did have one game where it was real hard, missing a lot of land drops, and you guys, I think, removed my commander 3 times or something like that. You were playing your Syr deck and kept Grasp of Fading him and Skyclave Apparition.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one, but other than that, I've had so much fun with the deck, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's like, for me, he's in the other end of the spectrum. The fun scale really brings him up, and the power scale brings him a bit down. Not that he's bad, but I'll say that the fun scale really sets him up for me. So for the opposite reason, I will put him in A as well as the Spider-Man. Do you think? You play the deck more than I do.
Yeah, I was about to say B, but when I'm reading Spider-Man, I also think that Coram has Coram has the ability to be much more explosive. I don't think that Spider-Man can just win out of the blue real fast. I do think Coram can. So when do they win? I actually think on average Coram may be winning a bit faster. Coram is in non-blue though, but it has great flexibilities. It has great fun factor for me. It plays really well. So maybe A, yes. I was B when we started, to be honest, because I'm also looking at some of the other commanders we have on the list. And maybe both of them should just be B and then Coram above Spider-Man in B. But let's put it A for now. But for me, I think I have Coram above Spider-Man.
Yeah, me too. For me, I think the fun factor is the one thing that's dragging him up a lot. Because for me, I think at least I haven't built any of the deck that Spider-Man built correctly wins a lot faster than Coram. But it's much more of a just 1-2 card combo. So
yeah, it's probably very one note.
Yeah. That's one thing on repeat. So next up we have, so it's Emet-Selch of the third seed. So he's also Dimir. And this is one of the commanders I have looked at. And he looks fun for me. I like instant sorcery and interaction. So it looks cool. A bit different than the other ones. He kind of explains himself what he wants to do. I think he's a control commander. And control is a bit worse. So even though I love it, it is probably a high C, maybe a low B. What do you think?
I very much love this one, to be honest. As we both talked about when we were reviewing these cards, was that we both thought of about maybe building this deck. I think, to be honest, the only reason I never got around to it was that Green Goblin came.
Yeah.
I think especially the tempo with this, meaning that this is one of the few commanders where you have instant speed. You can do it on your opponent's turns. Also, it's disregarding timing restrictions because it's part of its spell resolving, so you can cast sorcery spells instant speed. And paying 3 mana for an extra turn spell on an opponent's turn is something I don't think you can underestimate. So I think this deck could be very strong. I'm not sure how it's winning and what the frame should be. But I already know from Goblin that paying 2 less for spells is very powerful.
That's true.
What I don't know and what may end up pulling it down is that I'm not sure how easy it is to make your opponents lose lives on their turn. But they are already playing fetch lands and shock lands, and you can play Lord Chief Ascension and spells like that. So there are definitely ways, but I'm not sure how reliable you can do it.
Yeah, I think you're forced into, and that's why I'm probably rating a bit low. I think you're forced into playing some not so good cards like Ankh of Mishra or something like that. So you're securing, you're getting the triggers on every turn. So I think that's probably why I think that the power level is a bit lower, because you need multiple things to get your engine going. So you not only need to mill, you need to get something that hits them, and you need your commander in play. But when the plan is up and running, you're basically taking over the game. And it seems very fun, for me at least.
You're probably right. It probably is a bit slower. But I do think that the timing of the deck is not usually something your opponents are used to, meaning it can be very hard for them to evaluate where and when to stop you. And that's an advantage, I think. But I agree that it plays slower, but I also think it plays more fun than Spider-Man. But I do think power-wise, it is probably below, I could agree with a B, but I'm nowhere in C. I think that's too low.
Let's give it a B. I'm more in B as well. My thought was that the power is probably a C and the fun level is A, and that maybe correlates to B.
Yeah. Maybe that will change in the end. Let's see.
Yeah.
Up next is one of your decks, Jacob. It's Tayam. And we talked a lot about this, not only in this Graveyard series, but in general on this channel. So I think you should open up this one. Where do you rate Tayam?
Yeah, it's probably because it's my deck, and currently it's one of my favorite ones, but I'm really tempted to put it in S. I'm pretty sure it doesn't belong in S, so I would probably say A. And I think that the fun factor, at least for me, is pretty high, and that's what's dragging it up a lot, but also the combos are actually pretty good. Combos are very strong and hard to interact with. It's just getting there that's hard. So it's a bit weird. So A for me. Is on the fun factor, B on the power scale, probably, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow, it's a tough one for me. I actually don't think I have it in A, but maybe it is. The fun thing about the deck is that you get past a certain point and it just feels impossible to stop.
Yeah.
But before that, there's so much room to stop it, and it's so easy to stop it.
It is.
So it's really weird because, It also seems like a deck where you you rely on getting certain pieces in play very fast. If you don't hit your Archon of Emeria and cards like that, where you can slow us down, it usually is having a tough time.
Yeah.
I think it needs a lot more setup than Emet-Selch that we just put in B.
Maybe.
So for me, I think it's a B and not an A.
Yeah. I said I'm probably very biased. I don't know. Currently, it's one of my favorite decks to play.
Also in non-blue.
Yeah, also non-blue.
But I will agree that it looks fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those decks where I'm the graveyard player in our part. And I was real jealous when you built that deck. It was just like, it's so obvious. Why haven't I built that deck?
Yeah. An interesting factor just to mention what the deck is. I think it is like one piece away from being totally broken, and I'm just waiting for some random card being printed that just goes apeshit.
Where they didn't take time into account.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's see at the end again. Maybe we can push it up. I would like to get a full picture before we start rotating.
Yeah. So next up, we have another one of my commanders. It's Karador. and I think I'll be quick here and just deem it a C and say, even though it's my deck, the fun factor is pretty low for me, and the power is fine, I guess. What do you think about it? Haven't played against it.
I actually think it's the worst one we had so far, to be honest. I think it's below Syr Konrad.
Yeah, it's probably just the colors that made me say higher.
Yeah, and also when you look at Meren and when you look at Karador, you're almost having the same issues regarding power level. You're running into a lot of the same stuff with the setup.
Yeah.
Karador have one more color, which is a nice thing, but you can pretty much play Meren turn 1 and get it going. I think that's a big advantage. So it's definitely, for me, below. I would much rather play Meren at the moment, I think, than Karador.
I would also say below Meren.
Below Syr Konrad is maybe a bit rough, but I actually still think it's in D, just because it also have so much setup.
I agree. It is kind of whack. I think that there's a better way to build it as well, and that might help the deck, but we haven't seen that deck.
And also, you still have to pay for the creatures you're casting out of your graveyard.
Yeah.
Where Meren gets them into play for free. I do think that is also a big one, because even if you just play Karador for the free mana, you still need 3, 4, 5 mana, depending on what you're going for. So that's probably not in the same turn anyway, and yeah, I think it's a bit clunky. And I also think you can answer this one yourself. You don't seem to have a lot of fun with this deck when you compare to Tayam, and those are the same colors.
Yeah, and a lot of the same cards as well. Yeah, it's not very fun to play, and the commander doesn't help at all. It's basically just the colors that makes me want to put it higher than Syr Konrad. Want to take the next one?
Yes, we just keep on going with the commanders we play ourselves, but that's why we wanted to do this series. We feel like we have a lot of experience with graveyard decks. We are certainly playing a lot of them in our part. Next up is my newest deck in this category, and it's Green Goblin. We already talked a little bit about this also. And all I can say, you talked about being biased, so here I go. All I can say is that playing it, I only played it 7 times, I think. And it does feel like the strongest of my graveyard decks. Hardest to stop, fastest to get going, and yeah, it's in all the right colors also, I think.
I agree. Like when I saw the list, I was pretty quick to just say it's S tier. Seems fun, powerful, and it is maybe so powerful, and we had talked about this as well, that is it a Bracket 4 deck? So far it seems like it is, but it's on the edge at least.
Yeah, it's very borderline CEDH. I think I've done a lot to personalize it in a way where it doesn't resemble the CEDH list.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's just very powerful. So yeah, for me, it's definitely the best one of the ones we talked about so far, and it's an S for me.
Yes, same. So next up, this is a commander none of us had, but we have talked a lot about it. It's Teval, the Balance Scale, and for me, he reads like a lot of fun, and I hope we see it in our pod someday. I have contemplated multiple times. Yeah, I would say, for me, it sounds like an A tier, because not only does he seem powerful, but there's also a lot of interesting things you can do with him, because he creates tokens, you can go that direction, and graveyard shenanigans, and he also mills, so he does a bit of everything.
Yeah, and he's returning lands, and I remember that for obvious reason he got compared a lot to Sidisi, and for me, reading the card back then, I agreed, but then I started building a deck list because I actually thought I was going to build it for a while, and it was just so very different than a Sidisi list, and I'm still contemplating building this deck. Of course I am. But yeah, I think the generation of tokens is just so much different than in Sidisi. I think yes, it doesn't do it on when it enters, but after that, I think you have a much easier time creating tokens, and with cards like Earthcraft, it's just off to the races, I think.
Yeah, he is like enables both the win con and the plan up until the win con, and gives you mana if you want to go Earthcraft and all that, so it's an A for me.
Yeah, I agree, an A for me, and I even think it's above Coram, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be. I would say one of the basically the fun factors hard to gauge when you haven't played it. It reads fun, so.
It does.
Next up.
Yeah, Sister from another mister, something like that. We got Sidisi, another Sultai commander that we just compared to Teval. And if you hadn't already guessed this, I think Sidisi is... Now I'm saying a lot worse. Sidisi is still a very good commander, but I do think she's worse than Teval.
On a power level, they're probably the same, but I think Sidisi is even more generic than Teval. Like Teval has some flavor. Sidisi is literally just mill and make zombies, so you can go infinite with Gravecrawler, and that's it. That's good, but yeah, very generic for me.
It's very generic, and I think that it's less fun to play, to be honest. I think there are more routes to be taken in Teval when we're talking about the fun factor. In the same colors, Sidisi is in all the right colors, and don't get me wrong, I actually think it's a very good ability, both on enters and attacks. And like with Teval, you can put in Earthcraft, and she does a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I still think this is an A for me, but probably below Coram, and maybe even below Spider-Man.
Yeah, I can agree to an A. I was probably going to say B because it just sounds boring. That's it. I think power level, it's just the same as a Teval.
I can agree on a B, but probably the best one in B then, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Powerful, not that interesting. Next up, we have Slimefoot and Squee. So this is also one of the commanders none of us has, but he seems cool.
Yeah, it's funny enough, one of the commanders we have the least experience with. We've never seen it in our part. We never played against it. I actually don't think that any of us have even said that we were interested in building it. I did have a quick look when it got printed. Back then, Darkside was still in play. And I do think that especially Darkside, of course, was a big hit for Slimefoot and Squee. But you're still in Squee colors, and you're still in Food Chain colors, and I think it's very powerful, and that's why we put it on the list. I don't think we can talk Graveyard without talking about this card, even though on a personal note, it may not be that interesting.
Yeah, I also tried to see if I wanted to build him. Seems cool that you can sacrifice him and play him, and I like trying to abuse a commander real hard, and it seems he's good at that, but not much experience, so for me it's probably just going to be a medium B because I don't really know too much about it. Seems like it could be cool.
And especially the dark side hurt a lot.
Yeah, the dark side was the easy way to go infinite with that guy. So.
I agree, a B. Then we have Emry, Lurker of the Loch, a mono blue artifact commander that we also covered on this channel. We have done an in-depth look into my deck. Maybe go watch that one also if you're interested in this deck. But it being monocolored, I think, this is a tough one to be honest. Also because I think that when it plays well, I think it plays real well, and it doesn't really matter that it's monocolored. Also because it's blue, it's the strongest color probably. But I do think that it runs into a lot more issues than, let's say, my Goblin deck.
It's definitely missing some tools because of the colors. So.
It's probably a high B, low A. I think that's where I'm at. Maybe that's a bit biased. Maybe it's just a B. I don't think it's a C.
No, I was actually thinking kind of the same. I didn't want to give it an A because it's monocolored, but then again, it's blue. I think it's the only color that can be an A and be monocolored is blue.
And in some ways, and I think that's why Magda is also a powerful commander, that when you're doing an artifact strategy that is colorless,
yeah,
of course you still need the support from other cards, but the artifacts tend to flatten out the color palette, or whatever you want to call it, in some way. I mean, it has been tried out in CEDH, so I guess you have to respect that sort of power in some way, even though that my deck list is not CEDH. I could both be low A, high B, so I would let you decide this one.
I'll give it a low A. I think that even though it doesn't have anything to do with it, the Magda comment kind of pulled me towards A because I think Magda is an S. So if a mono red deck can be an S, a mono blue deck can be an A as well. So, so let's give it low A. Next up is Kethis. So here we have the legendary Matters Graveyard Commander. I think this is an interesting one because this card just keeps getting better and better and better, and I think it's like in the category of being on the power level being a C, and just in the lobby of let's see what they print, and suddenly it's gonna be an S tier deck. I think it's pretty fun to play. Not the most fun deck I have, but I enjoy playing it. So my personal take here is a B, I think.
But yeah, you forgot to say so, but you also have a Kethis deck, so you have quite a lot of experience with this one.
Yeah, I think Wizards printing, like, I don't know what it is at this point, like 900 legends each year. This deck just keeps getting pieces and moving towards being pretty strong.
I think Kethis, I think it's strong, but it's probably also slow. It's probably somewhere in low B for me, maybe.
That's where it lies for me as well. I think the fun factor brings it up a bit because it's not that powerful yet. It is waiting for the pieces, I think.
I will say that especially due to Kamal's Druidic Vow, that it seems very powerful because you can cast that spell over and over again. So there's a lot of recurrence and value in that deck. Like your Tayam deck, it just seems like you're really relying hard on finding the right pieces fast.
It is, yeah. And I think that's probably also the colors that does that as well. No blue.
Yeah.
So
you really like those colors.
I do.
For your graveyard decks.
They have the most interesting commanders, at least from my view.
Yeah. So the next one on the list is my oldest and bestest deck, Muldrotha the Gravetide, the Uber Priestess of graveyards. And she kind of was the whole catalyst for this graveyard series because one of my big questions before we began this series was, is Muldrotha dead? Meaning that has she been surpassed by the power creep? And I guess we will try and answer that right now. What do you think?
I think she has been surpassed by the power creep at this point. I will say though, when I look at the what we have in bracket, what we have in the column B, I think she's kind of on the same power level a lot of those guys. So maybe we haven't surpassed that much yet. But I think all the ones in A is a lot better. So I would put it high B. Still powerful, but not as much as it used to be.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I don't think that is way off. I do know that at current time, of course, they haven't have nowhere near the same amount of games, but both my Coram deck and my Emry deck has a high win percentage. So that kind of speaks for itself. That is also, of course, the case with Goblin. That has won 3 out of 7 games so far. So yeah, a high B, I think. I do think it plays both better and more fun than Sidisi, to be honest. I have a lot of fun with that deck, and that is why I keep playing it, because in my mind, and you know this because we talked about Muldrotha a lot over the years, that I've always had a real hard time putting a deck list together that felt good.
Yeah.
It always felt a little bit too slow or not fast enough for some of the games. So, but it's fun. It's versatile and it's flexible and it can have a big impact, and it's a jack of all trades in many games.
Yeah, about to say that's my usual comment. Jack of all trades, not really master of any of them. So
yeah, master of none.
Yeah,
it's not far from the truth.
Next up, we have Necrobloom. So Field of the Dead in your command zone seems pretty strong. We have actually seen this in our pod. Not a lot, but we have seen it. Actually by 2 different players. I think they kind of misrepresented what he does. I feel like this card is insane when used correctly. So I would probably just pretty quickly rate it as a low A. And maybe that's a bit too high because of the fun factor, but me having been playing it, I can't really say much about the fun factor. So it's mostly based on the power, or potential power I see, at least.
Yeah, I think I put it in very much in the same category as Muldrotha, to be honest.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I don't know.
I guess non-blue kind of makes it hard to put it in A.
It is 2 mana less than Muldrotha, and that's a big one, I think.
Yeah, and can abuse Earthcraft really easy. I think he has a lot of common with Teval. It's just not in blue, so that what kind of makes it a bit sketchy compared to Teval.
It's probably on a low A. You convinced me when you compared it with Teval. I do think you're right about that. It's probably also over Emry. It's probably maybe even over Spider-Man. So it is in the Teval Coram range, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I will say that the decks we have seen haven't been that high, but I think it can do that with the right shield. And it reads fun, so...
It does. And it does still leave you room to be creative. It's not a linear strategy. You can do more than one things, which we're also referring to by the 2 people that played it in our part. they took it in a direction that we weren't necessarily gonna do if we built that deck.
Yeah, and also it got some new pieces recently. Like I Still Explorer in that deck sounds like it was printed for that deck basically. So insane potential. Let's just say that Field of Dead is banned in a lot of places, and having that in the command zone is probably pretty decent.
It probably is. Next one is also an oldie but goodie. When I say also, I'm referring to the first two we had on the list, not Necrobloom. But it is the Gitrog Monster, another Golgari commander that is very powerful, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe also lost a bit of its shine. But we talked about in early episodes running the Squandered Resources combo, and that is also a great fit in this deck, I think.
Yeah, I have a stupid comparison, but I think he's in the same category as a pineapple on pizza. You either hate it or love it.
Yeah, true.
So,
but I don't think people hating it can deny its power. I mean, I don't know if it's still being played in CDH. My guess it's not, but it does have the potential to play at that power level, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's played that much anymore, but it did. So the power level is confirmed very high. So it's just a fun level. And
I will say, especially in blue, the power creep has been larger than in other colors, I think. So being in non-blue in general it's just tough.
Yeah, it hurts. And 2 colors compared to 3, like most of the other ones. If I didn't take in the fun factor, I will probably put it higher. But me not really feeling like he's that fun, I would put him in B. He sounds kind of boring, for me at least. Some people would love it though.
I will probably put him just below Muldrotha, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right. So last one on the list is Glarb. And I have a Glarb deck. I can't really use it as a reference for this list because I can't say 0 because I run Reanimate, because it's a 1-mana spell that reanimates a thing, but besides Reanimate, I do nothing with the graveyard, so my deck is not a graveyard deck.
Yeah, it's a bit controversial using your deck list. As you said, you're not using your graveyard at all, pretty much. And we already know how your deck that is not using the graveyard is doing in our pod. It's winning a lot. So, yeah, it seems powerful. It seems fun. I have it very high A, maybe low S. I'm not sure what a low S is.
Yeah, I would actually say S as well. I was not sure if I was just biased, but that's where I wanted to put it. It seems very powerful, and it is a lot of fun. And I think the graveyard deck is also very fun.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, and I'm including myself in this when I say a lot of people, because I did this, underestimating the value of manipulating the top of your library in the fashion that Glarb does it.
Glarb is kind of deceptive because it seems like it doesn't do a lot. Like, okay, you can surveil 2 and you do some stuff from the top of your library, but it actually does a lot more because you can play lands, you can rearrange stuff, you can put it into graveyard where you can reanimate it, and suddenly because of magic, a lot of the spells that are free cost 4 mana or more, so suddenly you can play free spells from the top, which kind of just draws you card, and you can do that in the graveyard version as well. So now not only you are rearranging the top, but you're also getting value after you rearrange the top, and yeah.
Yeah, and also just you can tutor with Vampiric Tutor Force of Will to the top and cast it for free.
Exactly.
And also Worldly Tutor, you can, in an end step, tutor a creature you want to reanimate to the top, and you don't even have to draw it for turn now. You can just surveil it to the graveyard and draw whatever card you would like to draw instead. So it works like an Entomb almost.
Yeah.
It has so much potential for utilizing the graveyards because of this. You're not doing it, but your deck is still strong, and I just think that speaks to the power level of Glarb and the many directions you can take it in. And if this by any means made you interested in looking a bit closer on Glarb, we have an episode on this channel where we are taking a look at Jacob's deck and how he built it. So find that episode if you want to have a closer look. But yes, I still think it's below Goblin for me, but it is S, I think. I'm not. I don't know why. Just putting Glarb in S when I say it out loud seems wrong, because every time I read him, he doesn't read that well, but he just plays so well.
I agree. I was also a bit impressed of the power level that he brought to the table.
So this is our list, Jacob. What do you think? Did we nail it first time around, or is there anything looking at it now where you think we need to shuffle stuff around a bit?
I actually think we agreed on most things. For me, the list looks pretty good. Like, there's not something that really falls out of place for me.
Maybe it should be small stuff for me. I think Emry maybe is above Superior Spider-Man. But again, I have so little insight into Superior Spider-Man and how it's winning.
Yeah, definitely. Like Necrobloom is probably the one where I think it's very powerful. I haven't seen it being very powerful, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
So it's mostly the decks we haven't really played ourselves or seen in our pod. So
I think I would put Emry above Superior Spider-Man, also just because, like we said, I think Spider-Man plays less fun.
Yeah, I think fun factor is the big thing.
But I think that's pretty much it. I also maybe think that Kethis is above Slimefoot, to be honest.
Yeah, could be. I think it's really hard the ones we haven't played against or played ourselves.
I also think Tayam is above Sidisi.
Yeah. I think some people, let's hear it in the comments, but I think some people will disagree with our Karador take. I know Karador was once a great CDH commander, one of the real good ones, but so let's see if someone remembers that after we put him in D tier and said he's bad.
But also you have a creature like Kethis that just got printed, that is just Sultai, 3 colors, and he says that you can play a creature out of your graveyard on every turn, and he's in Sultai. Why do you need Karador?
Yeah.
Maybe we should even rate Kethis, to be honest, because, he would probably be a low C for me, but I do think that Kethis in many ways are more attractive than Karador. Doesn't need as much setup. You can play him fast, and you can entomb or bury it alive the creatures you want to play out of the graveyard fast. Being in blue, able to protect him with Fierce Guardianship. So yeah, I don't think we are wrong about Karador, to be honest.
No, I agree with it, even though he was once a CDH commander.
And also, of course, when we're talking about S to D tier, we have taken the commanders that we think are the most powerful to begin with. I mean, the range from B to D is not as big as it might look. I don't think that they're far between. I mean, every deck that can run food chain is probably pretty powerful, and you can do something with it. So, of course, a lot of the fun factor and stuff like that is going into our ratings, and it's marginal, many of the decisions.
Definitely. And a lot of feelings involved, because the fun factor, at least for me, proved to be probably more important sometimes than the actual power level.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
this concludes our Graveyard series. Hoped you had fun with us along for this journey. This was a big one for us, but we just wanted to cover as much as possible regarding graveyards. And if we've forgotten anything or you have questions for us, put them in the comments or join our Discord community, where we will also answering your questions if you have any for us. And if we somehow missed your favorite graveyard commander, please share it with us in the comments also. We would love to hear about it. There are probably some obvious ones that we forgot because we are not playing it ourselves or played against it. But please let us know.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the Graveyard Marathon we made for you.
Indeed. Thank you for tuning in, and see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.